What's up, kings and queens? We're back.
We are back with another video.
With another banger.
Oh, okay. You got energy all of a sudden.
We have been offline for a while, and we've been seeing so many of you guys comments and stuff.
Time.
And we appreciate all of the input and
bye thank
yeah. Well, not every person who's watching this is Afrikaans, babe.
No, but we bilingual, so I say bye thank you.
Thank you very much. Today we hit 1,000 subscribers, and that kind of kicked us into gear, into getting back into making the videos. We're like, wow, thank you so much for all the support, for all you guys that do subscribe to the channel. It's like blown us away how quickly this channel has grown.
1,000.
And just how much encouragement we've gotten from you guys. People just sharing their testimonies, their stories, asking us questions and stuff. We're trying to get back to you guys when we can. But let's jump into the most requested video that we have had since we started this channel. And that is the part 2 of how we met, which is probably not so much how we met anymore, but the first kind of, I guess, part of our engagement and marriage.
But before we start, we did say we're going to promise people. The last video, we didn't expect people to watch it all the way through. We got a few comments on that video.
Yeah.
And I am going to read your names. Thank you so much. The first one is Patience Reed. Rolian Maya, if I get your name right. Cynthia L. Ooh, this one. Nutusang. If I got your name right, please give me a thumbs up. Judy, Simone, Margaret, Desiree, Jim Murphy, Renee Martin, Christina Lucia, Cherry Trotman, Na Muntasir, Leandre, Annalise, Ingrid, Rochelle, Heloise, Mags, Miss Shona, Drew, Trini, Red, and I think that's what we got. We're just going to do this. Every time we make a video, let us know in the comment section some messages, and we'll give you a shout out in our video. So let's get back to the video.
Yeah, so, oh man, where to start? Where do we finish it off?
I don't know.
I think we finished it off with like how I proposed to you. So we got engaged on the 1st of January 2010, right?
It's been a long time.
Much later or earlier in the morning than I originally had hoped. I was looking for around midnight. I think we eventually got to do it around 4 a.m.
Yeah, so we just quickly go in why we did it at 4 p.m.
4 a.m.
4 a.m. Back in South Africa, if you're from Cape Town, you will know. Christian brothers and sisters, when it's 12 o'clock midnight on New Year's Day, where do we find ourselves? And huis van die Here, amen. So we were having a time of prayer, and Mike had no idea this is how we roll back in South Africa. So there goes his 12 o'clock proposal. But we went in blessed.
Yeah.
Look at us, huh?
Yeah. It was good. So then the plan was for Coles to then actually meet my parents post our engagement. And my sister, and just basically all my family, like the people that was kind of close in my life, my grandparents, my friends, all the sort of stuff from back home that like hadn't met her. Like obviously everyone had spoken to her on video chat. I think we were using Skype back then, but no one had physically seen her, including my parents. So it was kind of a big step for me to, I guess, to get engaged before my parents had even met the person that I was going to marry, which was pretty wild. So I went home on the 9th of January. And we did the long distance thing for a few months until you came back in March. And that was wild. Like I was working full time, and because of the 8-hour time difference, well, actually it was summertime. So it was a 9-hour time difference, which meant that like when she was just getting up for the day to start work, I was sort of finishing work or coming home from work. And then I would obviously be hanging around at home with not much to do in the evenings, but she'd be busy working. And when I was at work, she was asleep. So the kind of only time that we really had to make it work was in the sort of after midnight hours for me. So what I would do was I would come home at 5 o'clock and I would basically go straight to sleep, or I'd have something to eat and go straight to sleep. I would then wake up about sort of midnight, 1 a.m., and then we would Skype up until sort of about 5 or 6 a.m. when she was due to go to bed, and then she would go to sleep, and I would start getting ready for work.
That was hectic.
So it was like really crazy that like I was kind of used to it because leading up to when we got married, I was working night shift anyway. So it wasn't really a big deal for me to switch my sleeping habits. But it still was just like, it meant that I really had zero social life back home for me, because where my friends would be wanting to go out and do stuff, I'd be going straight to bed so that I could wake up and talk to Coles. But it was all worth it. And then we did that up until March, and then you came, I think, sort of like mid-March maybe, or like...
Just before my... Was it
just before
my birthday?
I think it was, yeah, it might have been only a couple of days before.
Amy's wedding.
My sister got married on the 20th? The day before your birthday.
So I was here for my birthday.
Yeah, so we had my sister's wedding on the 20th, and then we had your birthday on the 21st, which were also doubled as, so we had an engagement / birthday party, which was, I guess it was a lot happening that weekend.
Let me guys tell you, when I came here, oh my gosh, it was so overwhelming, because let me tell you, culture differences. Mike got me at the airport, weird, because the last time I saw him, he proposed, and then we had that long distance relationship. Got here in this place, it was nothing what I expected. You remember? And then I had to knock on his parents' door, and his sister, oh my gosh, was so overwhelming. She was screaming, and I was like, yeah.
She's a lot.
So I was like, oh my, I'm loud too. But it's just like this very welcoming. And then people was not understanding my accent. Oh, like the kids say, it was hard, eh? It was hard. I feel like that time of me being here was like really testing, challenging. It was amazing too. But it was like me being in his world. Like he was always in my world, and now I'm in his world, and I was like just a bit of so much it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
Overwhelming.
And so I guess there were like, when she said it was like not what she expected, I guess the way to explain it was she came from the city, like she was very close to the CBD, maybe 10-15 minutes drive. Whereas where I brought it to, where I was living at the time with my parents, was an hour and 15 minutes from the airport and in the opposite direction of the city. So it was a very country, well, not country, but like there's a small coastal town. And there is like very close by, there's actually farms. There's dairy farms and other sorts of farms.
And horses
and all sorts of things around. It's getting less and less. 10 years ago, it was a lot more farm than now. Yeah, suburbia has built up a lot in the last 10 years. So that's kind of changed. But like she just thought, I remember she said, what was it you said to me when I was driving you in? Or you thought in your head?
I was like, there's no way. I don't know. I'm like, this is a farm. I am not. Why am I here on this farm? I am not.
And we're talking about like a real city girl.
And the shops was closing at 5.
We spent 2 weeks together in Australia. I took her around to a lot of different places. We went and visited heaps of sites and like cool iconic places, like we saw Sydney Harbour Bridge and Opera House and all that sort of stuff. We went down the coast and that sort of stuff.
Let me tell you, not everybody was for this relationship.
Yeah, we got a lot of naysayers. One, because the culture was different. There was like, even our first languages were different. We're 12,000 kilometers apart, and Coles was so close with her family.
Oh.
And at that time, I don't even think we had fully decided where we were going to live.
Now, the plan was for you to move to South Africa.
The plan was for me to move to South Africa because I really loved it there. And Coles was closer with her family than I was at the time with mine. And I was happy to, like, just move. I didn't really have any huge attachment to where I lived. And it just turns out that that whole thing flipped upside down on its head because, one, the South African immigration policy was so strict. There was like basically 3 avenues that I could enter the country.
Yeah.
None of which was possible in our situation, including marriage. That didn't qualify us. Whereas Australia, on the other hand, was basically like, yep, if you're getting married, you can come live here. So we kind of decided by default that that's what we would do. And that was super tough for, I think, Coles to make that decision and rest on that decision. Part of me was like a bit relieved that I didn't have to give up my life.
Okay.
But also like super thankful to Coles. I really appreciate what you gave up to be here. And I think it's worked out for the best. Like, we have a good life here. Our kids are happy here. So, and now she's got her parents here, her brothers here.
I do, guys. God has been
bringing
good.
them all
God
over,
has
you know.
been good. God is good.
So that's that. And then I guess fast forward to,
We got married.
so she went home in late March. I think it was right at the end of March, early April. And that was a really challenging time, that 2 weeks. Hey, like, I think you threw your ring at me like once or twice minimum. We had so many arguments, and
that 2 weeks here in Australia was just like, this is not gonna work.
I was definitely too overbearing. I felt like I was like, we haven't seen each other in months. We aren't going to see each other again in months. I want to make every minute of every day count. And I think you just felt suffocated.
I did.
And I was just too much.
Because, because I knew so many people from Australia before because of my dad's missionary trip. So I wanted to catch up with people as well. And I do get now looking back, I do understand where Mike was coming from. But at the time, I was just like, whoa, step back. This is too much.
Yeah.
But anyway,
We both, I guess, were seeing it from our own perspective only.
Yeah.
And now we obviously have better perspectives and we can kind of see each other's, I guess, take on it.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, where do we go from there?
But yeah, so then you went home and we spent 6 very, very long months apart. Man, I don't even know how I got through that 6 months, to be honest. I think I just kept myself super busy. Like,
working so much.
Yeah, so I was working 2 jobs. I was working 7 days a week. And if I wasn't working or sleeping, I was Skyping with Cole. So pretty much that was my whole life. Fast forward to September, and that's when we got married. We got married in September of 2010, so it was 9 months after, well, closer to 10 months because the end of September, after I proposed. So we had like basically dated for 6 weeks, and we were engaged for 9 3/4 months. I came to South Africa 12 days before the wedding, just 12 days. And I brought my best friend from Australia at the time, Adam. And I had 12 Australians with me, from my sister, her husband, my grandparents, my parents, my like pseudo auntie and uncle, some other friends and stuff. So there was there was 12 Australians at my wedding in South Africa, and it was like so fun to be able to take them around and show them all the stuff that like I had fallen in love with about the country. And get to show them their stuff. And we all rented these apartments that were all in the same facility. So we all got to stay close by to each other, which was really fun and exciting. But I had 12 days to sort of prepare for my side of the wedding. Coles had already prepared like most of the actual wedding. All I had to do was get fitted up for a suit, pick out a tie, book a honeymoon accommodation. And that was about it. We stayed at Protea Fire and Ice for 2 nights. And then we stayed at like an Airbnb in Bloberg for I was there for, how long was I there? 6 or 7 weeks.
Can't remember.
It was a long time. Like, I was there for ages.
But I think because we're moving, I'm thinking part 1, part 2, we always give our testimony. So let's get into this is a big part of part 2 of the testimony. When Mike met me, I had 2 boys, Luke and Joshua. And at the time when he met me, I gave up on love. Love was just not it for me. I was like, nope, I've got walls all around me. I've been hurt, lied to. It was toxic. I had a toxic past. I was married before. Hurt. It was a mess. So when Mike met me, didn't just meet me, he met my 2 boys as well. Our boys as well. And let me tell you, he got a ready-made family. We were just just like boom, it was a lot for him to just take on. But I know that God, it was everything is God, because right now, like there's no talk of it is my stepkids, it's his kids. Like, it's just amazing how God has prepared him for us. You know, and I never thought that I was going to meet someone again and get married. I gave up on love, like I said. And just a week before I met Mike, just rewind, or a week before I met Mike, a girl from church, our church back in South Africa, Courtney, if you're watching this, she came and she gave me a word from God, and she wrote me a letter, and she said, your Prince Charming is on his way. And I was just like, oh, that's so sweet. And not long after that, 2 weeks or so, Mike came, and then fast forward, we got married, and he was legit my Prince Charming. Like, the proposal, remember what I said? I dreamt about being proposed at the top of Table Mountain. That happened. I never told anybody.
Yeah.
He loves the boys, and now we have 3 beautiful boys together, and it's just like such a blessing. Like, God has designed him for us, you know.
Yeah.
So what that means is for part that why did I mention that? Because that plays a big part in the part 2 of this testimony. So, and how we met. Then because of the boys, it was a big thing for us to come to Australia. And it became a court case. It was a big thing, right? And it just seemed impossible. And I don't even know where to start with that. And I think that is the main thing for this video. So we got married. Mike was here. And then the court case happened. Because I then I had to go to court to get the kids with me. And I think that's really part 2 right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you were in Australia and I was in South Africa, and that's why Mike said that was such a hard time, because in that time it was court cases, it was paperwork, it was going for all the stuff, and it seemed impossible for that to even work.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, I was back in Australia, I was working, and Coles was going through the whole court battle stuff. There was so much that even the kids, they had to go to counseling sessions to what was it, like assess their mental capacity of like what they understood about leaving their country.
It was important to do that.
And it was funny because they didn't really have a full comprehension of like what it meant to leave the country and fly to another country. Did they? Remember, they were kind of like, there was a couple of times where we were on a long car journey and they thought, oh, we've already arrived in Australia now, but it was still in South Africa.
That was super exciting.
You know, that was funny because up until when we got married, they called me Uncle Mikey. And then like on the day like of the wedding,
it was like a switch.
Well, your mum was also like really like about every time they called me, she was like, who? It's Dad now. It's Dad. You know, she would like remind them, and they were like, oh yeah. And within like a day or two, they were totally switched. So it was like, it's funny. Yeah. So on our honeymoon without the kids, and then after 2 days, they came to stay with us in our holiday accommodation. Yeah. So like basically I'd gone from living at home with mum and dad, where my mum did a lot for me. And then suddenly I'm now in like accommodation with my new wife and my 2 new kids like a couple of days later. It was just wild. It was absolutely wild.
Wait, I have to tell the story. It was so wild. It was so new to him because he has been this is like all new. So, you know, we were sitting this one night watching TV.
Okay, so just I gotta preface this thing. So like so the cultural difference between Australia and South Africa for a start is already major in that like when like if say I'm out with my mates at the shop and I feel like I want a drink or a chocolate bar or something, I'm just gonna go and get one. I'm not gonna ask them do they want one too, because I know if they want one, they can go and get themselves one. It's kind of just this thing that we like. I'm not saying it's like the best, but it's just how we do things.
Yeah,
and in
man.
South Africa, it's the opposite. Like, you can't go into a shop and buy yourself a drink or chocolate bar without at least saying, hey, can I get you guys something because I'm going into the shop?
Yeah.
Right? So then, just so you understand our mindset, now you can tell the story.
Yeah, anyway, so that's the culture. That's the Australian culture right there. You said it perfectly. So we're sitting, me and the boys and Mike, and we're watching a movie. And Mike, this is all new to him, so he's figuring everything out. And I remember he having this big block of chocolate, and he just started munching away. And I'm looking at this dude, I'm like, this is my husband. And he's not even going to offer me and these kids some of that chocolate. He just munched away, and I got so annoyed, and the annoyance was building. And instead of telling him or explaining, communicating, I kept it all in. But we've come a long way.
Yeah.
That man ate that whole chocolate all by himself.
I tell you what,
And the boys was watching. But in the same way, one of the kids got sick. During our stay.
Yeah.
And Mike
was Luke.
stepped up. Like, he stepped up. Luke was feeling sick, and he was vomiting all night. This guy, he didn't want me to lift a hand. He took the bedding, he washed it, he was making sure Luke's okay. He was so patient. And then I think that was actually so close to after eating all that bowl chocolate block. But then it was God like showing me, this is the one, Colin. This is you. Because he just the day after or something, he did all of that, and he wasn't put off by anything. He was just watching him, how he was making sure that Luke was fine, and just, just being there for him. That was so nice, babe.
Yeah.
That was so nice.
It was tough, but,
We've come a long way.
Yeah.
And now, if you're looking for the boys and Mike, I will be sitting somewhere all by myself, and these boys will be laughing and chatting their heads off. And I promise you, if you have to say, are you going with Dad or with Mum? Dad.
Well,
Dad.
we do have a lot of shared interests, me and the boys.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's the boys, they are. They're very boys.
Mm.
But, yeah, so I guess after we spent that sort of 7 weeks together, I think I was...
Was it 7?
Well, I was there for 12 days before we got married, so we probably spent maybe 5 together, and then another 2 for the honeymoon. So 14 days before they came to stay with us.
Yeah.
So that we probably spent 5 weeks together as a family in that accommodation.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was cool. That was interesting. It was very there was a lot of new experiences. Having to discipline kids,
And that was important.
that was
very important.
I remember, initially, because Josh was really little, he was only 3, and he was very cheeky, and he wouldn't listen to me. I remember the first time, and I got serious with him, and then he was, shocked. And then after that, we were, so close, because
someone actually told Mike, look, you need to not get involved with the kids' discipline.
That's their mum's job.
Their mum's job. I was like, even my parents and myself, we had a chat with Mike. We're like, this is your kids. It's your kids. The discipline is important. So we're both parents, and never mind what anybody else is saying, we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like if anyone's watching and you're in a similar situation, make sure that since day one, that is there. And with discipline, because you love your kids so much, you want to show them the right way, and discipline is so important. So we kicked it off the right way. I think that was a good little foundation laid there.
Yeah. So then I guess we'd spent that 5 weeks together, and then at the end of it, I think on the last night, your parents took the boys so that we could have a night alone. And we went out for a date to Mug and Bean.
Oh,
and
yeah, that's right.
We were sitting in Waterfront, and we're at Mug and Bean. And I think I asked you, do you want something?
I said no thanks.
And you said no thanks. And I ordered a chocolate muffin. And I tend to kind of eat my nervousness. If I'm really deeply thinking or I'm stressed out, I just kind of eat. And so I sat there and I'm like thinking about how I had to leave my wife behind tomorrow morning, and we only had one night left together. And I just ate this whole muffin. I just smacked it. And I remember you looking at me in complete disgust about how like, these muffins aren't small.
Mug and bean. If you're from Cape Town, you know mug and bean. I was gafty muffins. Gafty.
Yeah, and I think you were mad that I didn't share any with you, but I was like, you could have ordered. Like, I was happy to pay for her to have her own thing, because this is how I am. And I'm still like this. I'm like, if you want something,
say you
want it.
You have to be straight with us, dude.
Tell me you want it, I'll buy it for you. I've got no problem. But when I order me something, I've mentally prepared myself to eat that entire thing. And if you're going to take from it, well, then I should have just ordered two and given you one.
Okay.
I can't handle it.
Look at us. We stopped eating the muffins.
Anyway, so we did that. We had our last night together. It was really nice. The saying goodbye was like super hard. And all of your family were there to like see me off. With so much extended family and stuff.
That's the thing. When you leave at the airport, everyone's going to come to the
Well,
airport.
yeah. It also helps that like, I think Cape Town Airport is a lot closer to you guys as well.
That's a cultural thing again, eh?
Yeah. But anyway, so I went home, and it was really tough because it was like, I think October by this stage. Yeah, it would have been late October. We were talking about less than, 8 weeks away from Christmas. I went back, I worked. I remember that Christmas, I didn't even get to enjoy that Christmas at all because I was working the night shifts, and I worked 11 p.m. Christmas Eve into 7 a.m. Christmas morning, went home, slept, and basically slept the whole day away, and my Christmas was gone. But I didn't feel like celebrating it anyway, because if I couldn't be with Coles, I didn't want to celebrate it. And that was tough because that was our first Christmas as a married couple, and we were separated. And then finally, and then again, New Year, another, special kind of time you like to be with your family and stuff, and we weren't together. And the worst part was that I was due to come back I was due to come back January to come and collect you. By that time, all the visa stuff was sort of starting to roll through, and we knew it was kind of coming to a head. So it was like, January, I'm coming back. And I think it was like the 12th of January, and I was supposed to come back to you on the 14th of January, I think it was. And so it was like 2 days before I was meant to come to you. Was it 2 days or was it 2 weeks? It was a very close time to when I was meant to go back to South Africa, and I happened to be riding my motorbike straight after a night shift, and this car pulled out in front of me and caused me to have a pretty serious accident to the point where the bike was basically a complete write-off, unsalvageable. I fortunately didn't break anything. I was pretty banged up. I was a bit sore, but that was crazy because I remember ringing you to tell you that like I'm okay, but I've had an accident, and you were like freaking out because you're in another country and your husband's like laying on the side of the road after stacking his bike, and yeah, that was wild, hey. And I remember like I recovered pretty quickly from that, which was fine, and then I came back to South Africa still kind of sore, and this was kind of a wild. It was supposed to be 2 weeks. So I had planned to be there for 2 weeks, right?
Is this for us coming back?
Yeah, this is for you to come to Australia.
Okay.
So like this is Cole's last 2 weeks in South Africa.
Oof.
And we knew the visa, we'd applied for the visa and everything, and we knew that like they basically told us this is the date when it's going to be approved, right? So they told us expect to be able to come from this date onwards. We had a lot of obstacles with the visa stuff. We were told that it was going to go through, and then we were told it wasn't going to go through, and that basically we should just give up on having a visa, which I don't know what they expected us to do when we were already married and we couldn't live in either country. And look, the long and the short of it is that God worked some like insane miracles to the point where He made connections with people. He connected us with people in South Africa who like, high positions in immigration and stuff like that, and were able to make things happen for us. And I remember like, this is something that I can talk about. It was crazy, right? So it was like, we were supposed to leave on the Saturday, and it came to the Friday, and I said, Coles, you need to pack your bags because we're leaving tomorrow. We hadn't got our visas yet, right? No. Our passports were still in Pretoria, 1,200 kilometers away from where we were in Cape Town. So that I don't even know logistically how it was going to happen. But I, in faith, said we need to pack our bags. The problem is Coles didn't pack her bags, And the next morning, it just obviously fell through. And I couldn't
The boys was packed, weren't they?
I don't know if they got packed. Because you had to pack for them. They were too little. And I couldn't even get onto the airline to tell them that I was going to miss my flight. So I had no idea what was going to happen with our tickets. And we were flying on a really special ticket that I didn't even know if it could be like moved or reallocated or whatever. But I called on Monday. They said, yes, no problem. We can reallocate those seats. It's just $40. Easy done. I was like blown away by that. We got to the following next week, and I'd actually had a job interview over the phone. I was due to start a new job.
So you were going to come home alone?
So I was like going to come home alone, but then I thought to myself, no, I'm going to wait in South Africa. I'm not leaving South Africa again without my family.
Oh, bless.
So it came to Friday night, and we still didn't have our passports. They're still in Pretoria, and we still didn't have our bags packed. But I said, Coles, I don't care. Just pack your bags. So she packed her bags. Friday night, we get a call after hours that we have been approved for the visa and that we needed to just take a flight from Cape Town in the morning to Joburg. We could then go and get our passports and we could leave the country. And it was like an absolute 11th hour of an 11th hour type thing.
Yeah,
and
I feel like this happens with us all the time.
Yes, we are 11th hour people. I can tell you that now. Everything happens to us in the 11th hour.
Just when you're about to give up.
Oh man,
God comes
so many
through.
times. And like we're talking big stuff.
Oh.
Like even the purchase of this house.
Oh, that's another video.
We were literally 24 hours away from losing this house. And it finally pulled through. But long story short, we got on a plane. We left. I mean, it was so emotional seeing Coles like leave her family, not knowing when she's going to see her parents next, having lived with them and see them every day, and just the extended family that she was close with. And we had two young boys that were really excited and didn't really fully comprehend what it meant to leave that family behind. And they were running around the airport.
They were so happy.
They were so excited to go and see their new home in Australia.
And Nana and Poppy.
And it was wild. And we had to then fly to Joburg. We had 7 hours layover in Joburg, which was like just nuts because we were tired and Colleen was obviously like very emotional. And I was trying to wrangle two really excitable boys that were just wanting to run around the airport. And we actually ran into a like famous South African comedian.
I don't know what's his name now.
Rasdeen, Jimmy Rasdeen.
I don't know. I wasn't even excited when I saw him.
And I was like, just got chatting to him. I told him I was from Australia, and he was like, oh, I've met an Australian comedian before, Carl Barron. We had a good chat, good laugh. And it was just like cool. And we even had a bit of a like really scary moment. I was actually going to like some place in the airport, and Coles was sitting with the two boys, and she was so wrapped up in her emotion, she didn't realize that Josh had actually run after me to follow me. So when she looked around, she didn't see Josh. She was trying to call me and she couldn't get through to me, but Josh was with me. And so she thought she'd lost Josh. And she was like freaking out, thinking she just lost her son after she'd like left her family. And that was like, it was an emotional roller coaster. And then we had to fly like just so much distance, right? Like we had to fly through Singapore, which just meant it was like another 24 hours of flying after being 7 hours in layover at Joburg. And we finally get home, and it was just so surreal bringing my new wife and my new kids to my house. And I remember Luke saying to me, oh, do you have PlayStation, Dad? I'm like, yeah, I've got a PlayStation, because, you know, they'd only ever played PlayStation at, like, the restaurants and stuff, like Panarottis and that. And so having one in the house was, like, this big deal, right? And I remember it was so funny. I put the controller in Luke's hand, and he's sitting there all excitable, and I turn around, I go to the PlayStation to put the disc in, I turn that on, turn the TV, I turn around, and he's fast asleep with the controller in his hand, because he was so jet-lagged. So he never even got to play PlayStation on the first day, but...
And then I put them in their beds for the first night. That
they got
was
tucked
Mike's
in.
mom and dad.
Yeah,
because
we were living with my parents while we were looking for a place.
Yeah.
And we were there for 5 months, which was challenging because, you know, having lived with my parents, they still saw me as like their son at home, and I was trying to be a husband and a father at the same time. But, you know, it was good. It was for a season, and my parents were really supportive. Yeah. And we got into our first place. And, yeah, it it was crazy, hey. And then how long later was it that was, I think it was in that same year that it was later in the year. So or basically around about our first wedding anniversary was when we got pregnant with Malachi.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
How did I even tell you?
You were in the kitchen of our first house and I came home from work and you told me.
Man, I didn't even know his creative ways.
I think you were just in a complete
Shockity locks.
It was just like crazy, man.
I was missing my
And
parents.
then,
I was homesick that first whole year.
And then while you were like 3 to 4 months pregnant, we actually had to move house, and it was around Christmas time. We had to move our Christmas tree fully set up.
True.
It was just
set up. Yeah.
We actually moved on Christmas Eve.
Oh, that's so true.
And it was wild. We had so many things crazy happen to us.
Yeah.
And but it was good. And that was 10 years ago now.
It's gonna be 11 soon.
Yes, this month is our
25th of September. Guys, let's get to 2K by the 25th of September.
Yeah, so I guess that kind of sort of sums up the first year of our marriage. I mean, there's so much that happened.
So much.
This could be a 5-hour video if we...
So much, man. But let me tell you, there is a God.
100%.
There we had obstacle after obstacle, shut doors. Things just looked impossible. But God was in this marriage. This was a God thing. And he made everything just happen like that. I wanted to give up so many times. Mike's always the one that's his faith, he's like, no. And he was so calm about it. And we had so many miracles happen in that time. And here we are. We can write a book. We can actually just it's a whole movie.
Yeah.
It's a whole movie in it.
It really is. So, yeah, I guess...
Did we leave anything out?
We probably left a lot out. But look, if you guys have questions, if there's anything you want to know...
we will work better with questions.
Leave us a comment and we will reply to you. Thank you so much to everyone that has asked us questions or shared stuff with us, like we said at the beginning of the video. We appreciate all of that love, and all of you guys that subscribe and like our videos. I mean, we really appreciate the support. We haven't expected how well this has gone, but
that's so amazing.
So we want to keep doing this for you guys because obviously there's something here that you guys are getting out of, and we are happy to be able to.
And maybe next video we'll bring the boys and do a video with them. Let us know what kind of videos you would like to see, because we want to just put videos out there that you guys want to see and what you will enjoy. I know that there's a few people that is waiting for the Afrikaanse videos.
Yes.
So many people.
We're in lockdown at the moment, so we can't see her parents. But as soon as we can, hopefully very, very soon, it looks like we might be able to lock down the next week or two. We can...
That will be a cool video. Going to pick them up after lockdown.
Yes.
That is too late.
But we're getting off topic.
We've been getting off topic all video.
Yeah, okay. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching.
Thank you for watching. I feel like we didn't make any sense again, but I thought so in the first video too, so...
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a ramble, but hopefully you get something out of it. Right, so today's scripture for this video is from 1 Corinthians 16:14. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Thank you so much for watching.
Mwah! Be blessed.
We love you.
Very much.
Appreciate you.
Very much.
See you in our next video.
Ta-ta! Mwah!